I'm good, Jake. Finally, nice to have you back a part of the program. Almost an exact week since we've had a show in this format. Yeah. So yeah, about a week. It's been a little over a week. I should have downloaded a Eagle Cry to play as a hot case if the U.S. ever scored while we're on, because kickoff's at 1 o'clock like we had with the Wales matchup. So be prepared for that. Could cause not in fact the law at this point. But no, just have a little screech in there for there's a goal. It'd be kind of funny.
But we start first with maybe the single most important area of the Kansas City Chiefs offense that will determine whether or not they get the 1 seed, they go to the AFC title game, they go to the Super Bowl, they win the Super Bowl. I still don't think it's the number one aspect in the entire franchise. Number one is health. Number two is the pass rush. And number three, which health is overall, that's the most important thing the rest of this year is health. Yeah. Is health.
Be healthy heading into the playoffs.
Yes. Number two is the pass rush. Get a pass rush, Chiefs are going to be just fine. But on offense, it is the red zone. The red zone on a macro level for the 2022 season thus far has been good. Did you know that? It's been good.
I would assume as much.
Chiefs are 6th in the NFL in red zone percentage. 65%. They're behind Philadelphia. Not a surprise. Shocker, Detroit, Cincinnati, Dallas, Tennessee, and then the Kansas City Chiefs. That is on the season long. So if I told you, Fulton, how have the Chiefs been in the red zone this year? Your answer is pretty damn good. They're 6th. Almost top 5. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But let's go a little bit more in depth here. First game of the year against Arizona. They went 6 of 6 in the red zone. Whoo! That'll hunt. Against the Chargers, 1 of 3. All right, so now the water's starting to level off a little bit. Then they went 2 and 4 against the Colts. Then 5 and 6 against Tampa Bay, and then 4 for 4 against the Raiders. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's 18 of 23 in the red zone in their first 5 games.
Very good.
That is excellent. That is excellent. Then let's look at the last 6 games. Buffalo, 1 of 2. San Francisco, 4 of 5. Tennessee, 2 of 4. Jacksonville, 4 of 5. The Chargers, 2 of 4. And the Rams, 1 of 6. So the last 6 games, the Chiefs are 14 and for 26 in the red zone. That is just over 50%. That is good for 25th in the NFL. And that's including 2 games in which they went 4 of 5 in the red zone. Now, I do think Sunday's game is a bit more of a non-issue for me. I think the Chiefs just wanted to get out of Dodge, and they didn't care how they did it. They didn't. They were going up against Bryce Perkins, and that offense was not capable of scoring 15 points. They weren't. And I think the Chiefs said, we just got to get this win, man. Just get this win. Do nothing more except get the win. Not only did they get the win, they won by 16. But they went 1 of 6 in the red zone. That's alarming. That is. But I think it's more about that game than it is overall the red zone. Let's take out the Rams game. All right? Let's just say, throw it away, not a big deal. Because they were going to win. Who cares how you got it done? A win is a win, especially with what's coming forward. The Kansas City Chiefs are 13 of 20 in the red zone, which is 65%. 65% in the red zone is
about where they're at.
Exactly where they are at if you take out that Rams game. Overall this year, they are 65% in the red zone. This year, the last 6 games, you take out the Rams game, they are 65% in the red zone. They've got good games where they go 4 and 5 against San Francisco. They've got good games where you go 4 of 5 against Jacksonville. They don't have great games, as we've seen. Buffalo, the Chargers, where you're at 50-50. I don't think it is a huge concern that a lot of people are looking at the Chiefs red zone after looking at some of the numbers and looking at some of the plays and the situations that they're in. It is pretty simple that the Chiefs are going to go 50% in the red zone or better every game. 1 of 2 against Buffalo, 4 of 5, 2 of 4, 4 of 5, 2 of 4, right? They're going to be they're going to be 50%. Except for the game on Sunday against the Rams. And I think that is more about it being the Rams than it is about the Chiefs. Look at the games in which they have been good in the red zone. Those are the best games that they've had offensively. Arizona, Tampa, the Raiders, San Francisco, Jacksonville. If the Chiefs are scoring in the red zone and they're getting touchdowns, they're unbeatable. You're not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They are still going to score, just not as a dominant clip, but they're still going to score. Like, they put up 26 points and went 1 of 6 in the red zone. They scored 2 touchdowns in the red zone against the Chargers. They went 2 and 4 against the Chargers. They still scored 30 points. If you are the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't think it's a huge concern because of one game against the Rams in which they did the bare bones. If they go a little bit more on the struggle bus against the Bengals this coming Sunday, now it will have my attention. If they then continue to struggle in the red zone the rest of the year against the Broncos or the Texans, now we've got a problem. But for one game against the Rams, in which they kind of went through the motions a little bit, and Andy Reid, even in his post-game press conference, said, yeah, I didn't want to put a whole lot on there because we got Cincinnati coming up next week, which is why I think they are going to be full bore ready to go. This one, I think you're going to get the best effort from the Chiefs coming up on Sunday.
No, you
I think you are.
Mahomes was asked at one point after the game about what it means to have that coming up. And he basically said, it's like, we remember what happened. We know what we did. We know what opportunity we had. And we let that one go. We had it and we did not take them seriously and we let it go. This team understands what Cincinnati can do when you don't take them seriously. And more importantly, they just have that memory stuck in their head of letting Cincinnati take their chance at a Super Bowl because they did not perform well. So I'm not surprised the Chiefs didn't want to put a lot on tape for Cincinnati because they understand how good of a team that they are and they are really focused and prepared for this game. We all knew that it was probably going to be a C-plus type of game for the Chiefs against the Rams because that's all it took to beat them because they were down their two best wide receivers and their starting quarterback, and they can't run the football, and their offensive line sucks. So they have all those different factors. It makes you not that worried about trying to beat them. On the red zone stuff, I'm not particularly worried for one game because all the other evidence says it's fine. The other fact is this, and this is the more important part, I think. We get fixated on red zone touchdowns a lot, and as we should. Touchdowns are the be-all and the end-all.
If the Chiefs score touchdowns in the red zone, you are not going to beat them.
Correct. You get a chance when you let them kick field goals.
Yes.
But from a non-Chiefs specific perspective, getting points at all is still what it ends up mattering. It's not coming away empty from those trips. And if you look at the game against the Rams, they rarely came away empty on those trips. They weren't going into the end zone, which is frustrating, but they were still getting points on the board outside of Mahomes throwing the stupidest interception I've ever seen him throw in my life.
Yeah.
And then you have to remember, this is the other factor with a team like the Chiefs. They have a great ability to score outside of their first touchdown was outside of the red zone. It was a 39-yard touchdown.
How many teams in the league are going to score 26 points and go 1 of 6 in the red zone? Not many teams are still going to be able to do that.
And so there's still positives. And the other part is this. If anybody wants to be worried about some of the red zone stuff, I understand to an extent. But also, if you look back on it, it was just execution in the red zone on Sunday. The play calls were fine outside of the double pass was stupid. I'll go to the grave on that.
Yeah,
that double pass was stupid.
Real dumb.
The big man pass to Allegretti or whoever you're probably haven't called on there when you had actually it was probably a big man pass to Colin Saunders. Either way, when we were gonna have a fat man touchdown scored, and then that got changed because of whatever happened, all the stuff, moving parts and timeouts and whatever. That was stupid. I will admit that's a bad play call. All the other stuff was just execution. It's the play calls were fine, but guys weren't executing. And with this team, that gets cleaned up because they didn't execute. And you can dislike a team going through the motions in a professional game. I will never fight you on being like, you need to be locked in, full bore, all 17 games. That's just hard. That's really, really hard to do. And so if there's going to be games where you kind of mentally take the foot off and step back, just be selective if you can when those come. And against the Rams, and you still had enough things going right, you win. And if you were a bit more locked in, you would have beaten the Colts. But sometimes, if you can beat a team without having to put your best stuff out there, do it. Because now you have more stuff hidden for a much better team in Cincinnati.
And we know Andy Reid does that.
Yeah.
We know that he does that.
He's gone as far to basically admit it.
He saves plays. He saves situations for those specific games.
The regular season, as we've said, is now a means to an end. That's what it is.
It is not a surprise that the Chiefs offense came out and looked like gods against Tampa Bay. It is not a surprise.
They had a job to do.
That the Kansas City Chiefs offense came out in the two toughest game stretch this year, which at the end of the year, maybe for any team, Bills and then the 49ers. They played the Bills and the 49ers in back-to-back games. And they put up 44 on the road after the Bills game. You knew that the Chiefs offense that was the 2-game schedule there for the Kansas City Chiefs. It was the Bucs game, and then it was the Bills and the 49ers. And they went 2-1 in that situation. That was when the Bucs were actually playing decent football and not a dumpster fire, which they are again right now. But the Chiefs right now in the red zone, this will be even more interesting to see coming up on Sunday on what they do and the play calls that they use against the Bengals, because this is an important game. This is one that the Chiefs definitely can lose. And if you win this one, you're feeling pretty good the rest of the way, especially with the schedule for the Bills the next 3. So I'm not yet worried. At first blush, you're like, gosh, 1 of 6, that's terrible. Oh my gosh, God, their last 6 games are at 50%. That's not good. Well, if you take out the Rams game, they're at their average. It's still important because if they're clicking in the red zone, I don't think you're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs because their defense is that much better than last year. And if you're scoring in the red zone, you're still going to score a couple times outside the red zone, more than likely with either a field goal or a touchdown. You're putting up over 30. And I think the Chiefs defense is good enough to not let anybody score 30. And that's been the case this year. They have not let anybody score 30. In losses, they gave up 20 and 24. And the most in a win that they gave up was the Raiders. And that was a disaster of a situation. They're down 17-0. So I don't think it's a concern. I've changed my tune after kind of taking a step back after watching the game against the Rams and seeing all the variables. What do they do against the Bengals? And honestly, maybe a little bit against the Broncos because the Broncos defense is good.
The Broncos defense is very good. It's being wasted.
Unless you're playing the Panthers, and apparently the Panthers have kryptonite for the Broncos defense.
I have no idea. Also, just not to put a pin in your fantastic point, though, the Chiefs have allowed 30 points this year. They allowed 31 to the Bucs.
That doesn't count.
It's 30 points being allowed.
No, that doesn't count. They didn't. The Raiders scored 29. That was legit.
Yes, that's the legit 29. They're fighting the whole game.
The Buccaneers.
I know.
No, the Buccaneers did not score.
I'm just saying. I get your point, but officially it's happened once.
It was 41-24, and they scored with 3:30 to go in the game. That's dumb. Coming up next, the Chiefs add some practice squad additions, and then we'll talk with Matt Derrick on all things Chiefs here on Mic'd Up. Here in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk with Matt Derrick, our Herman's Meat and Smokehouse Chiefs insider. The Chiefs, though, did make some signings yesterday. Melvin Gordon, Brian Edwards. I think this is more so about they need bodies.
Oh, yeah. At least for sure, Melvin. Melvin's just bodies.
And Chiefs fans, relax. Melvin Gordon is not going to carry the football for the Chiefs this year.
If Melvin Gordon has to carry a football for the Chiefs this year, it means another guy or two has gone down.
Then that means everything has gone bad. It really, really does. So I wouldn't worry about that. But Brian Edwards is interesting. I think Brian Edwards could end up being somebody that might be good for the future. What do you think about Brian Edwards?
It's an all right decision. It comes down to depth on just so many parts of this, and that's what it is for so much of the Chiefs moves. And it's similar to Melvin Gordon on the concept of using, your practice squad to have people in advance to help you out with certain things, but you never really know going forward what the Chiefs are going to do. But I don't mind having an extra body at receiver because that spot's kind of thin with McCall Hardman's injury and then Kadarius Toney's injury. Now you're kind of being thinned out, but no matter what for the Chiefs going forward, it's nice that they're trying to at least put some bodies on the table and put some people on the board to just try and be prepared if someone else went down instead of just, all of a sudden another receiver goes down and Marcus Kemp has to have an issue. So we'll take a timeout. When we come back, Matt Derrick will join us for our Herman's Meat and Smokehouse Chiefs Insider.
Let's go to Kansas City to talk all things Chiefs football, as we always do at 12:30 on a Tuesday with our Herman's Meat and Smokehouse Chiefs insider. He is Matt Derrick. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com. He's one of the best. Matt, how are you doing on this Tuesday?
Doing pretty well. Survived Thanksgiving without putting on a tremendous amount of weight, so I consider that a victory. And I have one of the best game weeks in the NFL, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Are you at all interested in 26 minutes from now, USA, Iran, World Cup?
Interested is a good way to phrase the question. I'm not watching it because I'm protesting the World Cup this year. I'm trying to avoid watching a single minute. I have a casual interest in just whether or not the U.S. wins and advances. I mean, I'm not anti-American. I don't root against America, but I don't really care for soccer.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm not trying to encourage it in others.
Yeah, no, soccer is not for everybody, and I get that. You know, there are a lot of people like Brendan absolutely cannot stand watching golf. Cannot stand it. You know, to each their own.
And hey, I don't get it, but I don't judge.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that.
See, there you go.
But I'm interested because some people who are, you know, football fans are die-hard soccer people as well. So I don't think I've ever asked you that question. So with the big game coming up here now in 25 minutes, I thought, you know what? Let's get the pulse of one Matt Derrick.
I am much more excited about Chiefs Bengals.
I'm more excited about that just to see how the Chiefs respond to losing to the Bengals twice in a year. And now they have a chance to go out and play them. We'll get to the Bengals, though, in a little bit. But have you ever seen a game that was just a boring win than Sunday's game against the Rams?
I mean, the Chiefs get a few of those, it seems like, every year, that they're just better than the other team, and they kind of knock them around a little bit. Maybe it's closer than it should be, but it's never really an interesting game at all. But that one's up there. I mean, that was one that was certainly, other than I think the Chiefs playing well defensively, and they were fine offensively, except obviously in the red zone. But yeah, no, I mean, that was not a great game. It was. Never seemed like there was any energy for this one at all from the get-go. Not sure that either team was really fired up for this one. I mean, hey, I think Green Bay considers that, and they should, a moral victory probably to get out of it the way that they did. But that was a very workmanlike, nondescript game.
Let's go to the red zone. We discussed that at the top of the hour. I think that was just I don't really care about the red zone in this game from Andy Reid. And he even said so in the post game. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything with Cincinnati next week. You know what I mean? Like, a part of me says they just ran it up the middle. And if Andy Reid could have gotten the game done at halftime and the Rams and the Chiefs said, hey, what if we call it a game and you guys beat us? I think Andy Reid would have done that. Like, I think that was the whole objective. And that's why I'm not pushing the panic button on the red zone right now.
I'm the same. I mean, to me, this is one game, so it's certainly not a trend. I mean, they've been pretty good in the red zone all season, so not going to hit the panic switch there. And I'm with you. I mean, I don't know if it was just simply, like I said, I mean, this was a low energy game, I think, on both sides most of the game, and maybe that was part of it. And remember, the Chiefs did have a touchdown taken off the board with the penalty for illegal man downfield. If that Noah Gray touchdown stands, maybe we feel differently about this game. Maybe the Chiefs punch it in again. I thought that there were some things that they did in the red zone play calling wise that were curious, if for no other reason than, you wonder if they were just testing out some things or seeing what would work and what doesn't. But you're right. I mean, nobody seemed overly concerned about it. I mean, if anything, I think they if it wasn't just that they self-diagnosed it at the time and moved on, or like you were talking about, maybe it was just that this was a game that they kind of had in hand to figure they would just test some things out and see what worked and what didn't. I'm not too concerned. So yeah, let's wait until it happens again. But otherwise, I'm willing to throw this one out.
On the offensive line, did they kind of look at this game and say, you know what, we can beat the Rams without Joe Thuney. Let's give him a day off. Is that how you view Joe Thuney not playing? Because it's the first game he's ever missed.
Yeah, and it hasn't felt like with the ankle that it's anything that's getting worse. It's just maybe something that because he's been playing consistently, it hasn't gotten any better. And it was certainly a game time decision. I mean, they rested him a lot last week, and usually, even if a guy sits out during the week and practices on Friday, that's a guy who's going to play. Didn't this week, so you're right. I mean, that could certainly have been the strategy: is let's go ahead and get him rested up for some games when we need him. The biggest piece that the Rams had going against you was Aaron Donald, but they were able to handle him for the most part without Joe Thuney. So if that was your strategy, it was a well-executed strategy.
I look at the game on defense as a complete throwaway game. I think the Chiefs, they are 9-2 on the year. There are 2 wins in this Chiefs game, in this Chiefs season, that I honestly don't know if you can even count the defensive numbers against them. The game against the Titans, when they threw the ball 4 times, and then this game against the Rams when they had a quarterback who I had never heard of before this week. Obviously heard of Perkins this week because, hey, there's a guy by the name of Perkins who's going to maybe play against the Chiefs. Like, he was incapable of throwing the football. I don't even look at this game as, oh, wow, the Chiefs defense was so great. That Rams team didn't have Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, Allen Robinson, Eric Dickerson, Gabriel, and who else do you want to throw in there? Like, everybody's like, look at the defense was great. Oh my God. They should have been good. The other team was playing a JV squad.
Yeah, the only thing I really take away from the defense this week is that they were at least more disciplined than they were against the Titans, where they had some breakdowns. This was a game that, with what the Rams had personnel-wise, they should have gone out and dominated. They did go out and dominate. So, yeah, there were some good performances, nice plays. I mean, there was all of that. But, yeah, from an aggregate standpoint, it looks good. I mean, the numbers are fine, but yeah, it's nothing to brag about. I mean, this is a team that absolutely should have dominated, and they did. So that's a good thing. I mean, the fact that they didn't have any breakdowns and give up any big plays like they did against the Titans, it's an improvement. But yeah, move on, because this was nothing to brag about.
L'Jarius Sneed, Fulton asked me this question yesterday. Is he undervalued? Is he not properly praised for what he brings to the Chiefs?
I don't know. I feel like that he is probably properly praised in Kansas City because he seems pretty well appreciated here. I'm not sure if he's properly appreciated outside of Kansas City by the rest of the NFL, because, there's a lot of things that cornerbacks are asked to do, but I think for the most part, how most people judge corners around the league, and certainly the corners on other teams, is just simply turnovers and what kind of big plays are they making, and are they considered a shutdown guy? And and L'Jarius has had his share, but it hasn't been like he's just an absolute leading the league in turnover machine. He hasn't necessarily been the guy that you point to and say he's a lockdown, shutdown island corner. But there's other things that corners do. One is play the run. I think he is one of the best run defensive corners in the league. There's blitzing and going after the quarterback on occasion. I think he's hands down maybe the best blitzing corner in the league, if not just count on one hand how many there are. I think in several of the categories of how you should judge corners, he's one of the best. And I think the turnovers are there too. I mean, I think he's getting there. I think he should. I think he's Pro Bowl caliber myself. I get why maybe around the league he's not considered in that class yet, just because he doesn't have the flashy turnovers and the numbers and everything, and that's how corners get judged. But as far as an all-around corner, I'm not sure there's a whole lot that are better.
Because that interception was a great play, blitzing, and I'm with you that I think nationally when you think of corner, you think just coverage skills. You don't think of blitzing, and you don't think of the other things, which is why I hope the Chiefs extend him this offseason. I don't let him get to next year unless they simply say, hey, we're not going to extend you, so just play next year and then we're going to let you go, because we feel like we've got 3 good corners who are rookies. But he does something that the other Chiefs corners don't do. And I would not allow another year of potential raising his price tag. I would give him an extension this year.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the year. I mean, if you're going to typically lock up a guy, it's after year 3. That's when to do it. If I'm L'Jarius Sneed, I probably may be willing to bet on myself, depending on how much the Chiefs offer, because he could take the route of what Traverse Ward did. Traverse Ward played free agency perfectly. He goes out and tells the Chiefs in year 4, hey, I want to cover the best guy on every team. And they let him travel and kind of showcase himself off a little bit. And I think that's helped get him a pretty good deal with the 49ers. If the Chiefs offered, Sneed a comparable deal right now, maybe he takes it. I don't know. But I think he could certainly enhance his value. This year, in the last 3 years, I think have put him in a pretty good case. If I'm the Chiefs, I try to sign him up and lock him up. But like you said, I mean, they've got a logjam there now with some 3 corners behind him that they really like too. So that's going to make it difficult. But, to your point, we're watching a game just now where he's on the field with a guy who is generally considered one of the best corners in the league, Jalen Ramsey. And which one had the better game? Which one looked better? I think it was easily L'Jarius Sneed.
We're talking with Matt Derrick. He is our Herman's Bean Smokehouse Chiefs insider. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick and ChiefsDigest.com. Who makes the decision to put Sky Moore out there as the punt returner? Is it Reed or is it Tobe?
Honestly, I mean, it's an even more collective decision than that, because, remember too, you can only put somebody back there to return kicks that's on the roster. And Brett Veach built this roster with the idea that McCole Hardman was an option, but they wanted to play him a lot on offense. They were going to increase his snap count. So that was initially taking him out of the equation. And Brett Veach drafted Sky Moore with the idea that he could return punts too. I mean, he talked about it from day one that this was probably an option. And yeah, I mean, there are certainly times that Dave Tobe will absolutely defend his guys and yell for guys and get on that table and make the case for somebody to make the roster or do any of those things. But ultimately, it's a combination. I mean, it's not just Dave Tobe by himself. It is certainly Andy Reid has a piece of that. Who was the ultimate decider? Was it Andy Reid saying you're going to do this, or was it Dave Tobe wanting to do it? My guess is it's more Dave Tobe, and Andy let him do it. But I feel like it was also a collective decision, because at the same time, when you look at the options that Dave Tobe has, there weren't a lot there. I mean, he knew, hey, Justin Watson was an option, but they knew that was also a guy that's probably not the most electric returner. Trent McDuffie was a possibility, but playing a lot on defense, got hurt, and they didn't want to put him out there. They kind of backed themselves into a corner personnel-wise and coaching-wise with the idea that it was probably going to be Sky Moore or bust this year, and it kind of hurt him a little bit.
If it is that situation, because there are a lot of variables in this, then you don't put anybody back there. Like you can't put him back. You can't put him back there, because it's better to just, you know what? We lack the foresight or the scouting ability to find someone to catch a punt, but it's better to not have anybody back there than, I mean, we're talking, it's like a 25% chance he's muffing a punt. You can't have that. That's like a interception and return 50 yards the other way, or a fumble scooped and ran 50 yards the other way. Like, that's what makes me so frustrated. And that's why I want to make sure where my frustration goes towards, because if it is Andy Reid, then Andy Reid, what the hell are you doing? I could have told you this was a bad idea, but yet they still put him out there for the 3rd time that he's muffed a punt. So that's where I am frustrated, for the fact that they kept on doing it wrong, which makes my trust in the special teams decisions poor the rest of the way. But they got it right. He's not going to be back there anymore. It hasn't hurt them too terribly except for one game. But special teams That is a factor in the game, and it cost the Chiefs already one loss this year. That's where I wanted to know where the decision was.
Yeah, and and to me, I think it's a compelling question because you kind of even bring up the idea of just how much effort should you put into returning punts, and I mean, there's some cases on the analytics side that hey, maybe you just shouldn't return punts and kicks at all. Just take the ball and hand it to your quarterback and go on, especially if your quarterback's Patrick Mahomes. I don't know where their analytics side and Mike Frazier comes down with that for sure. But I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, with Dave Tobe and Andy Reid, they're old school guys, and I'm not certain that they've been convinced of the case that you should be fairly conservative in that part of the game. They still want to be aggressive. They think that they can win in that portion of the game. But to your point also, this is a very inexperienced special teams unit this year, and the Chiefs knew that. That was the trade-off. To get younger and faster on defense, they were going to get younger, faster, and inexperienced on special teams too, with a lot of guys who probably haven't played special teams in a few years and may have never even been coached right. I'm sure Dave Tobe is pulling his hair out this year as far as with the mistakes and trying to teach guys week in and week out. And their belief is that these guys are getting better and that they'll be better by the end of the season. And even with Sky Moore, they felt they had the faith that Sky Moore would learn his way out of it, but he just never got there.
I like what he's done receiving the football the last two games. I think this is a benefit. He's been open a bunch. He catches the ball when it comes to him. And that's, I mean, he's got 10 receptions for 100 yards for the last two games. Hey, that's good for a number 4 option, to be honest with you. And I mean, some of it, he's been open a little bit more and Mahomes has missed him.
Yeah, and the fact that he was able to compartmentalize those two things as well as he did is a really good sign from the mental aspect. It would be very easy for those problems on special teams to follow him over to the offensive side. He'd have some drops or mistakes. He's been learning. I mean, he's been getting better. He had some mistakes on the offensive side earlier in the season that were just mental mistakes and rookie miscues, but he's getting past those. He's not making the same mistake twice. He's getting to where I thought he could be. I mean, the expectation for this team all along was that after the bye week was the best time that Sky Moore should start to emerge. And I think maybe it took him a week or two later than the Chiefs expected, but he's getting there. And all along, I mean, I thought, hey, a pretty good floor for Sky Moore this year would be 400 yards. And based on what he's done the last couple of weeks, I think he's going to get there pretty easily.
The Bengals game. I think the Bengals sat out Jamar Chase last week, thinking, hey, you know what? We can win without Jamar. We need him for the Chiefs game. I think the Chiefs sat out Joe Thuney because they said, we need him healthy for the Bengals game. I think this is a huge one. What part of this game are you interested or intrigued with on how the matchup's going to go?
Yeah, when Jamar Chase went down, I thought there was zero chance he was playing before the Chiefs game because they wanted him for this, and everybody gets healthy for Chiefs week. I am most interested in this rebuilt secondary and these bigger rookies against those Bengals receivers. I mean, that was the mismatch last year. The Chiefs didn't have anybody with the size and physicality to compete with these guys. And there's other big receivers around the league that the Chiefs want to be able to challenge. And so they didn't draft these rookies just for the Bengals. But there's no doubt those 2 losses last year were a huge blemish on this team. And the way they lost them was a way that they knew that the only way that they're beating the Bengals and getting past them, that they were going to see the Bengals every year, maybe twice a year, they had to get bigger and physical. So to me, I want to see Trent McDuffie, Josh Williams, Jalen Watson. I want to see that trio against these guys because I think that's what it's all about. If the Chiefs are bigger and physical in the defensive backfield, they can get past the Bengals pretty easily, I think.
The Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites on the road. I look at this one as I think the Chiefs come out ready to roll. I think this is a locked-in Chiefs team, and I like the Chiefs to win, and I think this Chiefs team wins by 10. I think this is a game that they're not going to mess around. I think the Bengals are starting to play better. That's the one thing about this Bengals team is I think at the start of the year, they were, lost their first 2 games. They had a losing record. They were 2-3, but they're starting to play a lot better. Now, granted, they played the Panthers and the Steelers in 2 of their last 3 wins, barely beat the Titans. I think the Chiefs are a completely different animal, but I like the Chiefs in this one. I think this is a game in which the Chiefs are super focused, liking it back to the game against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll give the Bengals credit. I thought there would be a bit more of a regression this year because I thought it was a team that really kind of, over performed last year in one-score games, won some games that they shouldn't have. But those would probably catch up with them this year. They're still playing close games, and they lost a few of them early. Now they're kind of going back their way again. But I'm with you. I mean, this was a Chiefs team that at halftime of both those games, the Chiefs were on their way to double-digit victories and pretty comfortable wins. They just can't let the Bengals get back in the game and come back. And there's no doubt. I mean, this is a focused team. This was a locker room that was already talking about the Bengals the moment that Rams game was over. They've been circling this game. So we talk about teams wanting to be up for the Chiefs every single week, and they've got the target on their back. The Chiefs don't have a target on their back this week. The Bengals do. I mean, and the Bengals, I mean, they're the ones as the front runner. I don't care if they're underdog home or not. I mean, they're the hunted this week. Chiefs are coming after them.
All righty, final two for the road. Last two questions for you. Will Melvin Gordon carry the football at all this year in a regular season game?
Probably, but I'm not sold on it. So I'm only going to put about 65%.
Okay.
So like I said, it'll probably happen, but I don't think this is like a guy who's going to come in and get a lot of work, and maybe it doesn't work out at all. We'll see.
And lastly, how many losses do the Chiefs have at the end of the year?
Gosh, I had him with 5 at the beginning of the season, with upside to 4. I probably should be at 4 right now, but I think there's a reasonable chance they get to 14-3. I mean, I really do. I mean, and if they read the table, honestly, the way they're right now, it wouldn't surprise me. They get by the Bengals, I think they got a really good chance at it. So I will go with 3 losses right now. I think they got a chance. Right now, I mean, if they get past the Bengals for sure, I think they're the best team in the league right now.
Matt, as always, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the week and gearing up for Bengals week.
Always a pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com, our Herman's Meat and Smokehouse Chiefs Insider. We'll get to a little USA versus Iran. We also got Everyone Loves to Listen. Then we'll talk with Brendan Dworzynski. Hour number 2 here on Mic'd Up. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. Team USA 5 minutes in, and it's 0-0. No score. Team USA already with a couple chances, already with a corner. Can they find a way to get a win against Iran? That is going to be the biggest question, is can they finish? Team USA does not have a lot of what I would call great goal scorers on their squad. They've got a lot of good players, but not a lot of great goal scorers. And that is what is going to be the biggest key for today's match. If Team USA wins, they advance to the knockout round. If they draw or lose, they go home. Tail between your legs, not in a very difficult group, and you're 3 and done. Iran, all they need is a draw. They need they need 1 point. They get a draw, they advance. No questions asked. They're going to pack it in 9 in the box the entire game. And that's what it's happened thus far. And Team USA's had a couple chances already 7 minutes in. If Team USA gets a goal, holy smokes, this game's going to be banana land. Because
if the Americans go up 1-0, Iran's going to have to change their style to be more pressing.
Because they have to get a goal.
At that point, basically the roles flip. If the U.S. gets a lead, the roles flip. The U.S. then starts parking the bus and just sits down.
And I don't want them to park the bus.
I don't disagree.
You disagree or you agree?
I don't disagree. I don't want them to park.
I want them to go for 2 goals.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be so wide open. But here's the thing about, the World Cup. It's not for everybody. I understand that. I like it. I like the game of soccer. I think the nuances of soccer are a lot of fun. I think the flopping in soccer And all of that is pathetic. I think it's so pathetic. There was one guy earlier today, I think on Senegal's team, who got touched and he fell down and was holding his eye like he got stabbed. I think you should be able to VAR a flop, and they should get a red card. You got to get that out of the game. Man, Team USA is just having so many chances. The ball is in the box. Oh, a little too high there. This is it's gonna be 90 minutes of Team USA just blasting shots at the goal, and does one of them get into that little tiny box with a net in the back? That's what it's gonna be.
Step one to this for the US though is get a shot on goal.
Yeah, right now they don't have one.
No, because right now they're finding ways to get near. They're at least getting in the attacking third, which is not going to be the hardest part of the day.
No, it's going to be so easy.
Because Iran's going to be playing back. That's not the hard part.
No.
It's actually getting the ball in the box and actually having meaningful chances. And that's the hard part thus far. And what I've seen through almost 9.5, almost 10 minutes here of this first half is none of these shots are meaningful so far, which has been a problem for the U.S. all World Cup. There's a reason they have one goal.
Correct.
In 2 games in 180 minutes of action, they have one goal. And it was in the 20-something minute of the first match.
It's now, almost.
Well, it's not 190, so we're almost to 200. But
minutes,
you get my point.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
And here is why I do think this is a big deal for the game of soccer in the United States. Is if you win this, you get a full another week of soccer in the United States. In the United States, a big thing is how successful you are. Look at the women's game. Soccer in the women's game has exploded in this country because of what the women have done at the World Cup level. They really, really have. And the men need to have some type of success to really make this thing go. And they've got a chance to do so. If you win today, you get a full another week. We got one on goal.
Yeah, Christian Pulisic, a very nice header off of a nice cross into the box, but not able to find space. But to your point,
yes,
it does matter. It
does
helps
matter.
Grow the game.
It does. And if you want more people interested in soccer, there's a good chance that Team USA, if they win today, they could win their next match. On Saturday,
they would have a chance.
On Saturday, they're going to play. If they win today, they'll play on Saturday. And they'll take on the Netherlands. They won their group. More than likely, England is going to beat Wales. And so Team USA would finish second. They would take on the Netherlands. In all honesty, facing the Netherlands is probably the easiest matchup in the knockout round that you can get for the United States. Like you'd like for Wales to win and then Team USA to win. Then they win the group. Then you take on Senegal, which would be better. But I don't think it's going to happen.
No.
But if you are the United States, you have a chance to have 2 more weeks of national exposure soccer-wise. And that would be, I think, so big for soccer in the United States, but also for the upcoming World Cup that's on USA soil.
Yeah, the 2026 World Cup, so many of the games will be played on American soil, and you're never going to have an issue of attendance at the World Cup because so many of the international fans fill out so much of the space. But it helps to a level to have people from, the states who are willing to go to these random, it would be helpful on certain levels and just is a good representation of your country's care for certain things. If, when this World Cup is played in North America in 2026, if there's a bunch of Americans at a random Morocco, Tunisia matchup, whenever those are held, and the way you get, and this is the part with soccer in general, and the women's game comparison is the most apropos, is it's always been more pushed that way of girls being pushed to soccer more than boys at a youth level. But then it grew even more because there are young girls who some of their biggest role models are the women on the U.S. women's national team, because national level sporting events are their own beast when it comes to even the Olympics and things like that. But I mean, when Americans talk about themselves at a national sporting level, there's always like, well, U.S. women's soccer is the most dominant in the world. And there's a level of pride Americans take in that when that's been the case. And don't know if that's going to continue for how much longer, but at least for the past few go rounds, that's been the way. And so when those, Women's World Cups come up, American fervor for it goes into overdrive. Because if we Americans are one thing, we like it when we can say we're the best at something. And so I think being able to grow the men's game on this side of it and let the men's team get even better gives you a chance. And so I would love at least another week. A little bit longer where this game can be focused on.
If they lose this, then it's, USA in soccer. USA in soccer can't be a country that's the size of Massachusetts, which is Wales. They didn't even win a match in 3 games. It just, the negativity goes more towards it. That's why I think this is such a big match for the future and just the interest of soccer. Because if you win this one, hey, there's some more because this match, what is it? 20 million people watched England versus the United States. 20 million. That's an NFL playoff game number. 20 million. There's going to be 20 million people watch this match right now in the United States. That's NFL playoff number. If they win Saturday, we'll get That's what sucks about this tournament being played in November and December.
Because Saturday's matchups are going to have to compete with Championship Saturday in college football.
Saturday. And that's what sucks for soccer in the United States. It really, really does. But if you're able to win this one, the Netherlands are not world beaters. No. They're not.
You would have a chance.
And that's why it's important for the USA just on a soccer level, let alone respect level, to find a way to win this match. And it's going to be so hard. And this is what I like about I like about soccer is some people are like, oh, so someone can lose a match, but still end up going even if they beat them. Like Iran can still make the World Cup knockout round, even though they got destroyed by England 6-2. That's what makes this such a great event to me. But
I will just say this to anyone who might have those thoughts as the U.S. gets another great chance, but good save, is if you ever have an argument of, man, they get to advance or they get to do something, even though they, the group stage is about your body of work. And if you would have a thought of like, oh man, Iran, gets destroyed by England, but they still get to go through because they drew the U.S. Well, also because they beat Wales. Like if Iran gets to go to the knockout round over the United States, it's because Iran won a match. They beat Wales. They did the thing the U.S. could not do.
Exactly.
So they earned it in that way. So that's like the group stage is about a body of work, which I also like. I like playoffs. You've heard me lament, a little bit about, like certain one and done playoffs are crapshoots. You've heard me lament that. And that's why I like a little bit about the group stage aspect of how you get to the knockout round is a little bit of a body of work moment. And then you move to more of a one and done type of stage. So the U.S. has to earn their way to go on because they can only go on if they actually win a match in this group stage, which if you're about earning your way through, this is earning your way through.
The unfortunate thing, there's pluses and minuses for where they're at right now is the group that they're in. They don't have a bottom dweller.
No, it was three pretty equal teams in England.
And that's the thing where normally there's a bottom dweller and you're like, oh, we can beat
there's
that.
The bottom feeder, you can beat.
There's the, like a Qatar or somebody of that nature where you're like, yeah, we should be able to beat them. And you beat them, then you just have one other game. That's the difference maker. Against the favorite, you try to hold on. Well, they did. They did against England.
Yeah, they drew against the favorite, just you need to do. And in normal situations, it would be a
great situation. But because this is a group
It's so balanced.
But that's also a negative because, there's a chance they score 1 goal in 3 games.
Yeah.
And that is a awful look for you, just the soccer, the non-soccer fans to me. And they've had a few different chances. They have, but they just don't, they're not the same. Like I was telling this watching the game to my family when we were watching the game on Friday. The USA has 2 people who could play on another country's roster. Maybe 1.5. That's it. Like, of the top, like any team that advances to the knockout round, the USA has honestly 1.5, depending upon how you view Christian Pulisic.
Yeah.
Because Tyler Adams is the one guy that could play on pretty much everybody's squad. He's that good. He is. He's the captain for the USA. He's a midfielder. He's that good. That's it, though. So that is a issue for Team USA, is just the talent level.
Yeah. Now, there's a benefit for the Team USA going forward is so much of their talent is young talent, which lends itself to development and getting better with all the gaps. In fact, that it's 4 years between this specific competition. But no, I'm with you. That is a thing with the U.S. is that they got a bunch of, good players, but they're not like these other teams with otherworldly all-level players. There was a time where people thought Christian Pulisic would be that guy, and he's just never become it. He's been pretty good, but he's never really been that bona fide otherworldly stud that all these other nations have. But overall, the U.S. is going to try to get away and going to try and fight through. But
I do not have a good feeling right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
Taking 21 minutes, still being scoreless is frustrating.
I don't have a great feeling right now.
It's one of the things to where it's not going to feel good until the U.S. has a lead.
Yes.
And then some of that stress will go away. It's like championship games or high-level games with anyone else's favorite teams and any other sport. You don't start feeling good until you're at a lead that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And then it's just, when you have the lead, you feel a little bit, it's kind of like weird. It's not the same level at all. But there's a level to it, like anytime the Chiefs before this big run were playing in important games. You felt queasy, and then they would get a little bit of a lead. You're like, okay, we're leading. We can settle down a little bit. And so with this U.S. matchups, it's kind of win or go home. It's just, you're not going to feel good until it's a 1-0 USA lead, hopefully. And if it's never a USA lead, then, of course, you're feeling terrible the entire time.
22 minutes in, no score, USA and Iran. Coming up next, we got Everyone Loves the List, and Brendan Worzinski will pop on in for a little crosstalk here on Mic'd Up. Everyone loves the list on a Tuesday. And we are going to go with probably something that everybody ate this weekend, because it always seems that after a big meal, no one ever wants to cook. So what do? You order pizza.
It's the move. It's the go-to move after a big moment having to cook. It just the meaning goes to, all right, I'm lazy. Order pizza, have it delivered.
For me, what do we got for number 4?
Number 4 for me. This one will never be eaten solo, but is my favorite secondary topping to add to a pizza. Banana peppers. They're delicious.
Okay.
They're fantastic.
All right, I can see that. My number 4 is bacon.
Good call. That's never a bad call.
Like
that
bacon.
is always a good call.
Like bacon.
That's an honorable mention for me, but that's a very good call. Number 3 for me. Give me some pepperoni.
I've had so much pepperoni that I don't have it on my list anymore.
That's fair. Well, because also, I mean, when we get pizza for pretty meaty game meals, it's always pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, pepperoni's not on my list.
That's fair.
Yeah, number 3, beef.
Okay.
Hamburger.
Okay.
Very simple. Yeah, beef.
Yeah, very simple.
Beef.
Number 2 for me, Italian sausage. So good. So delicious.
You mean Italian sausage?
Italian.
You don't call it Italy.
No, but it's more fun to say it as Italian sausage.
Okay, so you're admitting you're saying it wrong.
Yes, I will openly admit that I'm saying it wrong.
That's all. That's all I'm wondering.
No, the correct pronunciation is Italian, but it's more fun to call it Italian sausage.
Okay. At least we're on the same page.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. Because I didn't know if you were being serious or not.
No. I listen. I can mispronounce a lot of other words and a lot of other things. That word I can't pronounce properly.
Okay. For me, number 2, I like ham.
Really?
Yeah, I'll eat ham on my pizza.
So you're a ham/Canadian bacon guy on pizza.
I do. I like it.
You see, early on, I was sometimes a little bit more of a ham Canadian bacon guy, but not much anymore. It's all right. It's okay. But I'm not really there. Number 1 for me is easy. And if you have never had this on a pizza, I highly recommend it because it is fantastic. Meatball. Throw meatball on a pizza. It is very good. Do that move. Do it. You will thank me later. It is a fantastic thing to throw on a pizza.
Number 1 for me, it is sausage. It's number 1 for me.
It's simple, it's easy, it works.
The pizza that I have starting to really like a lot more is a Supreme pizza.
Supreme's good, but no olives for me.
No olives.
Yeah. Olives are not a good thing in anything. Olives are terrible.
No.
Supreme, though, everything else, but a little bit of peppers in there, some mushrooms.
Yes.
Oh, delicious.
I'm with you that
100%.
Team USA had a great chance at a goal. Not enough juice on the header. We are now at the 28th minute. And Team USA still 0-0. Coming up Got a little crosstalk with Brendan Dorzinski here on Mic'd Up. Back in on Mic'd Up. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. We will get to odds makers and a lot more college football discussion. Updates from head coach Chris Kleiman, as well from TCU leading into the Big 12 championship game. Also, we will get to a little bit more info on Lance Leipold's contract. Mercy KU paying out a monster contract. Holy smokes. It is a good. I'm glad. I think that's great. But also, we're going to get to some other things involving college athletics. Right now, Brendan Dorzinski joining us in studio from 580 Sports Talk. And Brendan, you're not a soccer guy.
No,
You're not.
no. It'd be cool if the U.S. won today. You guys would be happy. That'd be nice. But like in 70 minutes of game time, I'll win or lose. My day will be the same.
Your day will be the same.
Yeah. I'm sure Tyler Adams is a great guy.
He's good at soccer. He's like the only legit guy who would start on other teams.
Bring Aronson in off the bench.
They do need to do that.
Yeah.
You were right. I don't know if you saw that.
Peter Schrager tweeted it.
Okay.
I didn't know if that was just Brendan knew like 3 dudes for the U.S. men's national team, and so just throwing some names out there.
I can name more than 3. Pulisic, Reyna, or is it Reyna?
It's Reyna.
Reyna. Yeah, he doesn't play either. Aronson.
They need to bring him in too as well.
Aronson, I don't know his first name.
Brendan.
Oh, well.
Funny enough.
Well, guaranteed tool, huh? Weston McKinney, he's got the hair.
Yep.
He's got the dyed hair.
Sort to 4.
Tyler Adamson, or Adams. Tyler Adams. Yeah, that's about it. The U.S. scored.
Did they call? Is it allowed?
I don't know.
Is it allowed?
Everyone's in a hold.
Everyone's waiting. Did we get a goal? The VAR? What do we got here?
I don't like it when they take forever to make a decision.
It is 1-0 on the scorebook. Are they keeping it? Pulisic is down in the goal, but does that count? Looks like he might have got hit in the man region. Are they counting this? Was he offsides? I'm never celebrating a goal until I know. That looks good.
I will say, as we're waiting for this lets me give a moment to say a thing I hate about soccer's new way of they're starting to officiating it, is they tell officials to keep the offsides down for longer than they need to.
That was a great goal, by the way. What a pass from Sergio Dest.
It was a great pass for Sergio Dest.
That was That was.
I mean, he's from the pass he's on. It comes down to his Pulisic office he received.
Do we have the rights to analyze this? Like, is the Fox Corporation going to come down and?
No, you can talk about the game.
All right.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
Fox can get mad at us for other things.
Freddie Adu.
I don't think he's playing anymore.
Tim Howard.
The legend.
Clint Dempsey.
The legend.
Landon Donovan.
Also
there
a
you
legend.
Go. There's
Good
10,
job.
4 of whom don't play anymore.
It looks like they're going to. It's a goal. Team USA up 1-0. Like I said, Fulton, I had a great feeling about this goal. Literally like 5 minutes ago, I was like, I'm not feeling good right now.
Yeah. But as I told Jake, as he was not feeling great about it, I said it's just the simple fact if you're not going to feel good till the U.S. finally goes up. It's like any other game where win or go home matchup with a team you like.
See,
you don't feel good until your team's leading.
This is why it's ridiculous, though. Stop the clock. You're not playing. Because then the officials just say, I'm feeling 5
Yeah,
minutes.
that is true.
I will, okay.
I'm feeling 6.
That's true. I'm with you on that.
In that vein, Brendan, you would love college soccer.
Well, yeah, because college soccer it counts down, right?
I believe it counts down, but they do stop the clock for all stoppages.
Yeah.
They don't do stoppage time. They just stop the clock.
Yeah.
So like the clock will be stopped right now.
No, I did know that about lower level and amateur soccer.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, let's play 7. I don't want to go home yet. Let's play 7 extra minutes. What the hell is that?
I don't disagree with Brendan on this.
Biggest sporting event on the globe, and we're going to determine the fate of these nations by some guy named Roberto from Istanbul, who's going to say, you know what? Nah, I'm not feeling it with Iran. Give me 3 minutes.
That is a tremendous header to Pulisic for the goal. Like that, it's a great finish because him and the goalie just collided with each other, and Pulisic doesn't even know where he's at right now. It looks like he's really struggling.
Flop.
That one I think's legit. But now, already, this match is now going to be even more insane.
Yeah, the game's about to get real drunk, folks.
Because now Iran needs to score.
Yeah, now Iran is going to just start,
Yes.
I mean, flinging shots at the net.
Yes. And that means that the counterattack is going to be a legit weapon for Team USA.
Like I told you yesterday, the U.S. has to win in the attacking third, and then it'll come away with victory.
He was correct. Brendan, listen, folks, Brendan, go to Brendan for all your soccer takes.
I once did play-by-play for a college soccer match. It was an NAIA playoff game at Kansas Wesleyan University. They took on Mid-America Christian. Is that what it's called? The Evangels?
Let's say that's correct.
Out of Oklahoma?
Sure.
They paid me for it, and I was very appreciative of that. I wasn't originally going to do it. I did a football game there, play-by-play, the video play-by-play for the playoff football game at Kansas Wesleyan earlier in the day, and the production company that was doing it said, hey, would you be willing to do the soccer game? Like, we'll double what we're paying you. Just stick around, go get lunch, come back, and, do the game. I said, whatever, sure, I'm already here. So it's a long drive back to Lawrence from Salina. Sure, I'll do it. No idea what I was doing. I did not have a freaking clue what I was doing.
That reminds
they flashed the starting lineup on the screen. They had it already pre-produced when I got there, and I was like, "Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Coyotes." And I looked like, so in the back are numbers. Like, my apologies to the parents who paid to watch this, but man,
it's like this is what I lied on my resume.
Yeah,
I lied on my resume.
Brendan putting a special
Excel.
skill on his headshot that is not at all he's able to do.
Yeah,
man says he can ride a horse, but has never seen one a day in his life.
Yep.
It's like when I called lacrosse for the first time.
Who was the coach who was going to be hired by Notre Dame?
George O'Leary.
George O'Leary.
Yeah,
boy. And then lied on his resume. But this is fantastic because I like, as we talked about before the match, if they can win this, they can beat the Netherlands.
Netherlands will still be favored, but it's not impossible to beat them.
See, they play with those wooden clogs, though. That can be hard. You take one of those to the shin, that's a lot of pain.
The orange of Netherlands, great uniform, man. Just a lot of orange. Coming your way.
A lot of weed. Amsterdam.
Are you concerned now that Team USA is up 1-0 which is fantastic.
No, I have full confidence the Team USA is going to be just fine.
That's good to hear.
Fly the stars and stripes.
Do you feel confidence? Are you worried about the Chiefs' red zone? After taking a look at some of it and digesting it, I think the game against the Rams is more of an anomaly and an outlier. And I'm not ready to go, okay, it is a legitimate serious problem yet.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same camp that you are. I'm not especially worried about it. I mean, that whole game was sort of low energy. Like, there wasn't a whole lot going on. I mean, go back to the last several games the Chiefs had played prior to the Rams contest. Against the Chargers, Chiefs were, and let me get it right in front of me here, 2 out of 4 in the red zone. Not great, but not awful either. Against the Jaguars, 4 of 5. And are the Jaguars very good? No. Are they bad? Also no. They're a frisky team.
Some
Against the Titans, 2 of 4 as well.
Some of the red zone though is I don't want to call it luck, but some of the red zone is a little bit of a variance. Like Travis Kelce against the Colts, right? Would you say that the Chiefs had red zone issues against the Colts? No, Travis Kelce just dropped a pass in the end zone. Does that mean they've got red zone issues? No, it means they dropped a pass in the end zone.
Yeah.
That's where some red zone, you can understand it. And, that's a real issue. But, and we look at these numbers because that's the biggest thing right now for the offense is the red zone. And everybody's looking at 1 of 6. If you take out the Rams game over the last 5 games, they're at 65%. Which is 5th in the league.
Yeah. And really, it's only 1 of 5 for this past week anyway, because that last drive didn't mean anything.
That's true.
I was doing the math real quick here. Do you know what the disparity is between the Chiefs' points per game at home and points per game on the road this year?
I'm going to go with 12.
So, and again, let me do the quick back of the napkin math here. They've played, and I goofed up them. Oh, okay, one more game. All right. So the Chiefs have played 6 games at home. They're averaging 25 points a game. They have played 5 games on the road. They're averaging 35.2 points per game on the road.
Goodness gracious.
Where are they playing on Sunday?
Road. Cincinnati, Ohio.
Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio.
When did Paycor become that sponsor?
Start of the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then it makes sense for why I'm very confused at why it's Paycor Stadium now.
Yeah,
cool.
You had a stadium that was named for one of the most influential people in the history of American gridiron football, or you could dump his name and give it to Paycor.
Fun fact about Paycor, the CEO and the founder of Paycor has donated $50 million to UCO over his lifetime.
Is that where their money comes from?
Yes.
Yeah. That's why don't they have the waterfall now? They get that thing installed?
They got that thing installed. You can see that when you go down there in December.
Sorry, I was just transfixed on the logic behind adding 5 minutes to this half.
Well,
because there's about roughly 5 minutes we lost from the injury time.
Roughly,
and things
yeah,
like that.
roughly.
Yeah, roughly.
Imagine watching an NFL game, and
hey,
you know,
hey,
I don't know. Bengals are down by 4. It's 28-24. There's only a minute left, but don't worry. You might get an extra drive, although that extra drive might just end on 3rd down.
Hey,
hard to know. Refs get to decide.
We don't make fun of your Brisbane team or your CFL stuff.
Well, they have a counting down clock.
Yeah, but there's other things.
Well, listen, I will give Brendan credit. There's a lot of things I might take offense to on his shots at soccer. This is the most logical take to take at the sport.
No, like I don't.
It is kind of odd that it's very. I don't like field dimensions being arbitrary. I don't like timing being arbitrary. Games.
Wait, are soccer fields arbitrary?
No,
the pitch.
Baseball.
Baseball fields are arbitrary, and it ticks me off.
Yeah, that.
All outfield should have a uniform dimension and wall height.
He is. Have I told you my conversation with my wife about this?
I actually don't know.
So Lindsay,
I now know I have because we told this on air. But I don't think Brendan has.
So one day we're just driving in the car and we're talking about baseball, and I said, we're listening to the game. I think because my wife loves me so much that she'll let me listen to the radio on the Royals, even though she even doesn't give a hoot. But she I said, yeah, this is a tough park for the Royals because it's so big. I think they were playing like Detroit, you know? And she goes, wait a minute. What do you mean different? And I said, well, yeah, their park's a lot bigger even than the K. And she goes, wait, they're not all the same? And she goes, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. She goes, that would be like going to an opponent, because she played college volleyball. That would be like going to somebody else's volleyball arena, and it is longer because they, you know, have harder hitters. They recruit harder hitters or something like that. And I said, well, that, you know, that you can cater to each one of them. So she goes, so it's not the same everywhere. So not everyone plays by the same rules. And I said, well, they play by the same rule. I tried to explain it.
No, there's no good way.
Difficult.
There is no logical reason why baseball outfield dimensions at all 30 parks are all 30 different.
No, here's
there's no reason.
Here's what I came to. You ready for this? This is what I came. I said it goes back to the 1800s and the plot of land that they had. It basically was, they made do with what they had open.
Yeah.
And it's never changed.
Yeah, no. Old stadiums that were built in the middle of cities and were like being built around other places, them being quirky, sure, that makes a level of sense. We're also in 2022 now. Any new stadium being built should have uniform wall dimensions, uniform wall heights. A home run should not exist in one ballpark, but not the other. You should not be able to hit a ball 318 feet at Yankee Stadium for a home run where that ball is a weak fly out at 29 of the parks. That shouldn't exist. And I will die on this hill.
I guess my only retort would be, what is the actual tangible difference in terms of team success having a bigger or smaller ballpark? Because in theory, like, yes, the Yankees are going to be great because they're going to hit 1 million home runs. They're also going to give up 1 million at home, though.
I think
that's valid.
I think it's more so the fact that
it's just different.
Every other sport,
that's my overall thing. It doesn't even have the impact on winning or losing.
Same.
It's every other sport. The playing field is exactly identical to the last nanometer at every other place. At every football field in the NFL, the dimensions of the field to a T are the exact same.
Football, basketball, hockey, soccer, though, are all linear sports. Baseball is not played in a linear manner.
And like that's fair.
Football, the U.S. score again?
We have got a 2-0. Oh, they said he's offsides.
That's why you don't celebrate until the man with the flag and the visible gray faces tell you if you can celebrate.
By the way, we've now gone over 6 minutes past the end of the half, even though we were only supposed to get 5, but the referees are like, you know what? Our reservations aren't till later.
This might be a goal, folks.
Are we going to video-assisted referee?
I think we might be looking at this one. Is
it referee, not review?
I always thought VAR is video-assisted referee, but it might be video-assisted review.
They're not.
I've never actually looked into what the R is for, because I believe when it was first implemented, it was viewed as like an extra ref. I think that's why I thought R stood for referee, but also makes sense for it to be review. So I don't know.
Video assistant referee.
Yep, there it is.
It is officially a match official.
Yeah, that's why I always thought it was referee. Is that VAR is official? Is like it's an official.
We went 7 minutes beyond, by the way.
Hey, Brendan, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%, man.
Hey, there's more.
Gregor Estevez of Portugal was like, nah, let's keep playing. My TGI Fridays reservation isn't until 9 o'clock, so we can be out as late as we want.
Gregor Estevez can go to a better place than TGI Fridays.
That looked pretty legit there. I'm not kidding you. I'm surprised they did not look at that one. I am.
There are rumors just here in town that some basketball courts might not all be the same size.
I don't get it.
There's a high school in town that some people say maybe their court's not the right size. I'm not going to name names.
Okay.
We'll name names privately.
Yeah, during the break, you're going to
we're not
share
naming names live.
just a rumor,
Just a thought.
Say a prayer, play on a short basketball court.
All right.
Usual.
This is why we bring Brendan on,
Topeka
folks.
things.
If USC loses, TCU's in regardless.
I'm not sure what the University of South Carolina has to do with the college football playoff.
That
was the real USC. It was founded as an institution before California was established.
All right,
as a
calm
state.
down there, Gamecock fan.
People forget that.
Do you think if USC loses and Utah wins, TCU's in regardless, win or lose. I think if USC loses, TCU is in regardless, win or lose. Because there are only going to be 4 teams that have one loss.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And TCU's only loss then would be to a team that's within the top 10 or 12. Yeah.
Because who else are you going to put in there? You're going to put in a 1-loss TCU team whose loss is to K-State, or a 2-loss team?
I mean, it should be TCU.
Yeah, I mean, it should be, but also 1 loss Ohio State, the committee, because their name will matter.
No, but they're in then. If USC loses, Ohio State's in.
Yeah, if the exercise is does USC, because whoever loses, if TCU loses, USC wins, TCU's out.
I think they'll put in Ohio State above TCU. I think they will.
If USC loses, TCU, if they both lose, I think TCU stays in. And I think
I'm understanding your
Ohio State would get in.
Yeah. So to me, TCU has 2 ways of getting into the college football playoff: winning and Utah winning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think
Go Utes.
And does Utah play USC Friday?
Yeah, that's a Friday game.
So they might you might know if you are TCU, because I do think
rest of the starters.
I don't think USC is going to lose, but crazier things have happened. Coming up, we will get to more college football discussion on Mic'd Up. The final hour of Mic'd Up. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake Levon, Fulton Caster with you on this Tuesday. We're going to get to a little bit of odds makers. And then we'll talk a little bit more of the Kansas City Chiefs. But right now, Team USA up at the break. These are the times where I find the X's and O's of sports so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because right now, Team USA is in the same spot that the Chiefs are in a lot of times. You got the lead, quarter to go. What do? You got the lead because you were aggressive. You pushed forward. You let your guys do their thing. And you got ahead. But you don't want to get too aggressive to open up yourself, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to throw the football a ton because maybe, it stops the clock, lets the opposing team back in it. They're going to be a little bit more desperate, so they're going to go on fourth downs. The whole hope is that when the Chiefs have the lead, you want to try to run the ball and just shorten the game, right? That's what Team USA is in this situation. They've got the lead. If your defense holds, you advance to the knockout round, which is a success. They had a 53% chance of getting to the knockout round before the World Cup even started. I mean, it was them and Wales and Iran very close, right? So what do you do if you're the USA? Do you attack and say, we're trying to get that second goal? Or do you play back and do a reversal and say, we put everybody back and now we are just going to try to hold on? So it makes to me for a fun strategy question in sports. Same thing for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We want the Chiefs to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Go. You have got Patrick Mahomes. You've got Travis Kelce. Go get another touchdown and end the game. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have Travis Kelce or Patrick Mahomes. But the opposing team, this is like a playoff game in this scenario.
It really is, and I'll word it this way. This is my general rule for sports in general, not one specific one. Don't play not to lose, play to win. Going into a heavy defensive shell of just, I want to bleed clock, I want to end this thing, yada, 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 is playing not to lose, in my opinion. Now, I also understand there's a fine line to this, and I do agree. There's such thing as being too aggressive, even with a lead. But in this specific context with the U.S., I don't go ultra aggressive on my front foot, but I'm still trying to score. I don't pack it in. I don't put 9 back, because then you're throwing yourselves out of the positions you were in earlier, which got you your goal that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still, remember, your margin for error right now is 1. It's non-existent, really. Because if Iran gets a goal at any moment, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're finished. If you go up 2-0, that's when things really change. So if I'm the U.S., I'm still trying to get the second goal, because then I've now created a margin for error. And a lot of sports is you want to give yourself enough of a lead to where if you make some mistakes, you are okay.
I'm with you. I try to score the goal and trust your defense.
Now, once you're up 2-0, pack it in.
Yep.
The minute I'm up 2-0, it's 9 back, and it's all right. I dare Iran to score 2 goals.
Yeah.
Because that's what they need.
And
they get 1, it doesn't matter. 2-1, who cares?
Minutes. Yeah. Team USA up 1-0, courtesy of Kristen Pulisic's goal late in the first half.
Man put his body on the line for the U.S. and is somehow okay.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to have chances.
Yeah.
Especially the last 20 minutes. This game is not going to end 1-0. This game either ends 1-1 or 2-0.
Yeah. Because Iran's going to be
yeah.
crafty with their attacking here early.
If this game's 1-0, then to me, the way that Iran played was gutless. Great. Awesome. You lost 1-0.
Yeah.
You're going home. Does not matter if you lose 2-0, 3-0, 4-0.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I would like them to let us score a whole bunch of goals because then USA might win the group. But here's what's funny is right now, England just scored. So now
the Brits.
Now the
British do it again.
Yeah, they're in good shape.
I will say this though. I think
because if Wales would have beat England, they're out, and Wales would advance. No, I take that back. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Wales would have to beat you. The U.S. had to beat Iran by I think like 4 goals.
Yeah, that's right.
Wales had to beat England by like 5, and then England goes out.
But that I like these type of strategic questions that managers have to be in charge of.
I just have my one general rule for sports: don't play not to lose. It's my pet peeve on coaches in the NFL for most of them. It's they don't coach to win; they coach to make losing more bearable, and that's not success. You coached, you play to win games,
and that's the reason why.
To use the word from our man Herm Edwards, you play to win the game,
and that's why if Iran loses this game 1-0, they didn't push forward hard enough.
Well, I will say this: to me, it depends on the inner working of stats and the way it works in. If Iran doesn't score, but in like the final 30-ish minutes, they have like 9 shots on goal and just nothing ever went in. They try. But if Iran loses 1-0, because like they didn't have a single shot on goal in the first half. Mm-hmm. If Iran loses 1-0 and they have like 2 shots on goal, that's partly U.S. playing well defensively. Mm-hmm. But also, I agree with you. Then they didn't like that part goes in the minutia a little bit and the specific stats. Because if Iran gets a bunch of shots on goal in the second half but doesn't score, well, that's just U.S. had better goalkeeping. Like that's just the U.S. kept them out.
Yeah, and we get it. Soccer's not for everybody. From the Big O Tires text line, kickball, zzz, like I get it. But there's 25 million people gonna watch this soccer match today.
Whether you like it or not, this is the biggest sport in the world.
Yes, and 25 million people are watching this match right now. That's more than any NFL game, and we're talking the U.S. than the United States. Okay, more people are gonna watch this match than the biggest football game this weekend.
And hey, I mean, at least with the World Cup, when they say they're a world champion, they actually are a champion of the world. I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm 100% correct.
Well,
I'm not wrong.
In the end,
am I wrong?
You can call yourselves world champs in the NFL because there's no other league in the United States that's
as far as I know, you're champions of you're champions of the United States.
Okay, I'm done dealing with that. I want to get to the college football world. K-State might have Adrian Martinez for some packages. According to Chris Kleiman, he says that there's an outside chance that Martinez will be healthy enough to play against TCU. Will Howard will start, but Martinez could serve as the backup or maybe even a special package to run against the Horned Frogs.
That'd be helpful.
I think that would work out all right. I think that's a good situation to be in when it comes to the Kansas State Wildcats. Right now, K-State is a 2.5-point dog to TCU, open up at 1.5. So some people liking the Horned Frogs. This is coming out of TCU and their camp. According to Steven Johnson, it looks as though Quentin Johnson is back to his old self. Says that he's looked the best he has in maybe a month. Same thing for Kendre Miller, their terrific running back. He says he feels as good as he's felt all year. Now, take some of this with a little bit of, nobody's truly healthy at this time of year.
No, everyone's dinged up at this time of year.
But that is something to note because Quentin Johnson is a game changer.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston he's a legit 6'4". He can move a little bit. He's strong. He's long.
Yeah,
he's not fun.
He's the first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
And so
he's an all Big 12 caliber player.
And will we see that? Like, he looked unstoppable against KU.
Yeah, that's partly because Quentin Johnston's good and partly because KU's defensive backs are barbecue chicken.
But that's my point, is that he can take over a game.
He can't. No, that is very true. He can very much take over a game, and K-State's DBs have played a lot better than honestly I would have even expected when the season began. But playing and covering an all Big 12 caliber receiver is different. And TCU, with the way their offense plays, it's more important that if Kendre Miller is a little bit truthful and feeling real good right now, that's the hard part. Because TCU's good enough when they can really throw the football and be explosive down the field on you. They are another beast when Kendre Miller gets going. When Kendre Miller gets going, it is hard to stop the Frogs. Because then you're committing so many more bodies in the box. Now those guys like Quentin Johnston are getting one-on-ones more on the outside, and Max Duggan can make plays. So I think that's even more important is stopping Kendre Miller, and we'll get the game down more as we go through the week here. But Kendre Miller is going to be my thing for K-State if they want to really be successful.
They got to stop the run.
You gotta control him because that opens up so much to TCU's offense.
So Kansas State has been very good with Will Howard. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Really do. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game.
TCU's defense can be good, but it's not always known for being the most stout.
Yeah. TCU, they saw what Will Howard could do in the first half throwing the football. I think TCU is going to get a dose of that. I think K-State, I would open the puppy up if I were K-State.
You go on play action pass, 65-yard bomb, play one.
Test TCU's defense.
Yeah, put some stress on it.
Early and often because, K-State showed a lot of promise in that game against TCU. And TCU has had a chance. TCU's last 3 games on offense are teams that can't throw the ball. Iowa State, Baylor, and Texas. Those are the 3 teams that I think Will Howard has a chance to throw it on them. I do. Because they did in that game. If Will Howard doesn't go down, I don't know what happens.
Yeah, TCU has shown themselves to be susceptible to the passing game in big plays.
Yep.
So, no, I am, and this is the overall thing for K-State. I play aggressively. You really have nothing to lose in that game.
They're in the Sugar Bowl no matter what.
Yeah, because the Sugar Bowl must take the highest ranked Big 12 team available.
Yep.
They are contractually obligated to do so.
So is the SEC the same way for the Sugar Bowl?
I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
Because what will be interesting is Georgia's going to destroy LSU.
Yeah, Georgia is going to make LSU want to go back home and Brian Kelly to go back north and stop speaking like a Cajun.
But Bama would be 10-2.
Yep.
LSU would be 9-4.
Yeah.
I would see. I'm seeing projection.
9-3.
No, they'd have 4 because they're going to lose to Georgia.
Aren't they current? Are they not 10-2? That's only 2 losses. So 10-3. So I thought they only lost 2 games all year.
I thought they've lost 3.
Let's do a look. It's worth looking up here real quick because there's some bowl game math happening. I thought they only lost 2 games all year.
No, they're 9-3.
Who else did they lose to? What am I missing?
They lost the non-conference. Oh yeah, to Florida State to start the year. Yeah, so they're 9-3. So do you take a 9-4 team over a 10-2 team? And I've seen somewhere K-State would face Bama. Well, Bama is not the second best team in the Big 12.
I forgot A&M beat LSU this past weekend. That's the loss I wasn't thinking of. That's what I forgot. Is that A&M beat LSU?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's why I was thinking. No, so I think the Sugar Bowl might be contractually obligated to take the highest of both of them, which as of now would be K-State and Alabama if TCU and Georgia go in. Because it's highest by CFP ranking.
Oh, okay. Then yeah.
It's not about it. It's literally because that's K-State's point. The next highest Big 12 team is Texas. at 23rd.
Yeah, they're not going to.
So unless K-State drops from, and we don't even know the new CFP yet, we get that today.
Right.
So unless K-State drops 13 spots, that's the overall. And I think the Sugar Bowl is the same with the SEC team. Is the highest ranked in the CFP that's available they have to take, which is why it's usually Alabama in there. Because unless something really weird happens, Alabama will be the highest ranked, not in the playoff. Because LSU
that
getting
sense.
their butt kicked.
Yeah, that
will change that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we're likely getting K-State Bama.
Yeah.
But the overarching point there is K-State, you have nothing to lose.
Yep.
Play aggressively, take shots, be out on the attack for the entire game for all 60 minutes. Because TCU is the one with something to lose. They're the ones trying to get into the playoff.
Want to get to KU officially announced the extension to Lance Leipold. And I did not think KU had this in the coffers, but it just shows you if there's something that you really, really want,
that money appears.
Kansas's contract extension with Lance Leipold will pay him $5 million a year.
Good for you, Lance.
With an annual $100,000 in raises through 2029. And his guarantee of his salary will stay within the top half of the Big 12 beyond 2024. So if a whole bunch of other people get pay increases, he's going to get a pay increase. You want to know who's the happiest person right now? After seeing this contract? Chris Kleiman.
Yeah.
Chris Kleiman's going to get a pay raise.
He better.
If Lance Leipold is getting $5 million a year, then Chris Kleiman is going to get that type of money.
He should.
$5 million a year. This is the same athletic department that didn't want to pay David Beatty $800,000. Funny how that works out.
I will say this on that point, because I think this is speaking to an overall thing when it comes to Kansas. Lance Leipold has basically forced KU to start taking football seriously. He has basically told them with clauses in this contract that if you don't stay invested, I'm not going to be here. But if you're going to be invested, I will do this with you. He is forcing them to, because I think that's always been the thing when it comes to the money with KU when it comes to football. Has always been just, a lack of true investment in the program. And now Lance is like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to do this right. And we're going to do this properly. And by that, Travis Goff has kind of matched it of like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's be invested in each other, which is great. I've seen some people be a little mad that Lance's buyout is so low. At most, starting next year's buyout's only $6 million. My point to that is, if that becomes your complaint, my lord, you are nitpicking and just wanting to be upset about something.
Well, to me, this also shows that KU, in order to be taken seriously in the football world and to find another coach, you have to do this. Otherwise, I mean, you go there and you play 2 years and that's going to be the next 10 years for KU football is, okay, if we succeed, then we're not going to pay the coach. Like, this shows that you're all in.
They want the success. They're committed to the success.
And I like that because KU football makes the Big 12 better. It's not just a freebie. It makes it a lot more interesting. Now, $5 million with assistant money.
Yeah,
that's
a $5 million assistant salary pool. That, which, I mean, if you're Andy Koenig and Brian Borland, you're now real happy. And the rest of that staff, now just got real happy.
Or they're going to go out and get somebody who's going to get the job done.
Yeah.
Because you got $5 million in assistant pool money.
No,
now, I am happy that KU is doing this.
Yes.
And I'm glad they're doing this. But I also can say this, that 2 years ago, KU was crying poor.
They were.
How many times have I heard people in the area say, well, with this new NIL, all the boosters are going to give money to the players and we're not going to have any more and all that kind of stuff. Has NIL changed anything? Matt Rule just got paid $74 million in an 8-year contract. He's going to make $8.5 million in 3 years coaching Nebraska.
Matt Rule is getting a pay raise to go from the NFL to Nebraska.
Where's my we're so poor, we don't have any money, the pandemic, we have no money at all.
Major universities have more money than they will ever want to admit that they have ability to. Smaller universities and other things like that, we can have that conversation. We can have that conversation about them not having access to the amount of funds. That's understandable. These really, really big public institutions, trust me, folks, they got money.
And this just shows.
Yeah.
I mean, we were, 2 years ago away from, oh gosh, we can't pay Lance Leipold. Oh dear, that was close. We were almost knotted up at 1, folks. That was dangerous.
But no, there was a fear that Lance Leipold wouldn't get paid, and that was the thing. Well, that was the fear with the Nebraska job.
They're going to throw $5 million at him,
and it was like, well, he's going to go there because KU can't match it. Well, KU's almost paying Lance the same that Matt Rule's getting in Nebraska.
No, not even close. We're talking $3 million difference.
That's fair. $3 million is a larger amount of money. Either way, the point is he's being paid like a Power 5 football coach.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, and that's why I say Chris Kleiman has got to be the happiest guy. Because Chris Kleiman right now, if I'm
Kleiman's agent, I'm going to K-State and be like, hey, Gene, can we have a chat? Can we have a talk? And in my little briefcase I'm bringing with me is a printed copy of Lance Leipold's contract.
Yeah.
Of like, you see this? You see all the cool stuff in here? Yeah, Chris is going to need a bunch of this.
Yeah, Chris Kleiman just...
Which he deserves it. Like, Kleiman deserves it. He's brought this team to a Big 12 championship game. They're going to play in a New Year's Six Bowl. His staff somehow made Will Howard good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, Chris deserves it.
We're in the 65th minute. Team USA is up 1-0. By the way, England is up 2-0 right now.
Yeah, that's tracking. Wow, the English beating up on the Welsh. That has never happened before.
Every day that ends in Y. But Team USA is about 30 minutes away from advancing for technically the second straight time because they advanced in 2014. They didn't make the World Cup in 2018.
Technically, we're getting to a hard technically here.
In the World Cup, they will now advance. Did they advance in 2010?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they did? They went to the knockout in 2010?
Yeah, because I was in South Africa, right?
I can't remember.
Yeah, they advanced in the World Cup in 2010.
Sure. Let's say yes. I don't know the answer to this question.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they advanced. They advanced with England.
Yeah, our good friends, the British again.
Yeah. So yeah, this would be the third straight World Cup that they would advance. Now I have to go back.
When was the last time they won it on knockout round match?
They've only done that once. I think that was 2002. They made it to the quarterfinals one time.
That tracks.
Coming up next, we'll get to odds makers. And we'll talk more Chiefs and see if Team USA can hold on. And, we got a handball near the box. Team USA going to get a free kick. This could be interesting.
Could be good.
We'll get a quick timeout. We'll get to a little odds makers coming up next. Time for a little odds makers on this Tuesday. I'll start things out in the college football world. What are the odds that K-State wins the Big 12 title?
Give me 49%. I think if I had to pick today, I go TCU just barely. But this game to me is a coin flip. This game's a coin flip.
I'm going to go 45% because I think there is an advantage for TCU because of how they've played and going 12-0.
Yeah.
And they beat K-State. So I will go TCU the slight. So that's why I say 45% for K-State. I think it's going to be a game. I think it'll be close. How TCU handles the pressure of play, because they'll be ranked third in the college football playoff. They're going to be ranked third.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel if they lose that they're not going to make it in.
No.
So how do you handle that pressure? K-State has zero pressure. None. Go out, boys, and have a good one.
Yeah, no, when it comes to kids, I said earlier, I was like, K-State, you're playing with house money. You're locked into a Sugar Bowl. You're going. Like, win or lose, you are going. If you win, you're Big 12 champion. You're going to the Sugar Bowl. If you lose, TCU is in the college football playoff. You're the best Big 12 team left. You're going to the Sugar Bowl. It matters. It's amazing to see what they got a lot to do, but I think this is the close one. I think it's the smallest TCU in this one. My first one for you here, Jake. What are the odds now that Mike White is the quarterback that the Jets make the playoffs? Because you were very down on the Jets because of the offense.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
But now they have Mike White.
Mike White can actually throw the football to a receiver.
He can. Garrett Wilson seems to be the number one he's doing, but he can.
Yes. Right now, the Jets are hanging on.
Got a one-game lead for that last wild card spot
over New England. The third playoff spot is going to come down to three teams. It's going to come down to it'll come down to the Jets, Patriots, and Chargers. Those three. Who do you have more faith in, the Jets, Patriots, or the Chargers? I will say they're all a third, 33% that they make the playoffs. Bengals, Bills, Ravens, Titans, Dolphins, and Chiefs are all in. Jets, Patriots, Chargers. The Jets technically have a game advantage, but no, 33% for all of them.
I think I'd go about 42 because I think I do think it's those same three teams fighting for that last spot where the Jets would be. I don't though put them at a third, and a third. Weirdly enough, the Jets are the team of those three I have the most confidence in. Because offensively, I think they all have flaws offensively. And then they have to go to defense. The Jets unequivocally have the best defense of those three. Like, undisputedly, the best defense of those three is the New York Jets.
Correct. I agree.
So if the Jets just figure out their offense more than the other two do, Jets make the playoffs. So I give them a bit more of an edge for that spot than those two teams trying to get into that spot just because I think their defense keeps them in games more than the other two. The Chargers have the worst chance for me. they're so just hot and cold on everything they do. They can't hang their hat really on anything. I don't think they get in, but I'd give the Jets about a 42% chance making the playoffs. It is much better now that they have Mike White at quarterback. I was a Zach Wilson guy coming out of the draft, and I'm willing to just sell that stock for whatever any of you price will give me. I will sell that and just take my loss. I will take the loss. I will cut bait. I will move on. He is not an NFL quarterback.
Got to go like the Cardinals did with Josh Rosen.
Just cut it. Just you screwed up.
Yep.
Cut it. Sever it. Move on. I'm dropping on my Zach Wilson stock. Dropping that thing faster than Enron.
First, you shouldn't have even had stock in Zach Wilson.
I took a few shares because I thought he was going to be good.
No, I had 0 shares in that. I would have bet the under.
I had a few shares. I still have my Justin Fields stock, and that stuff, that's getting some value now, folks.
Well, is he going to play Sunday?
Maybe. I think he's still a game time decision.
Still has to throw
having an AC joint with ligament damage on your, even if it's your non-throwing shoulder, is still not helpful when the thing that was making you good and helping you the past few weeks was running the football.
Yeah. Team USA up 1-0. Oh, we got a yellow card on an Iran player. Doesn't really matter at this point in time, but USA up 1-0 with 70 in the 77th minute. We're 20 minutes. We're 20 minutes if you include stoppage time. 20 minutes of soccer for Team USA advancing. Then they would play on Saturday against the Netherlands.
The Dutch.
Orange. That's how they Oranje, orange. Or orange. I don't know what time they'll play. That the tip the time I don't think is
I don't think any of the kickoffs have been set, even close to being set yet.
I know it's on December 3rd though.
Yes, I do know it is coming up on Saturdays when the round of 16 begins. 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Netherlands matchup will be at 9 a.m.
That works out great.
Honestly, yes. Because you know what, folks? Here's what I will tell you. If USA hangs on here and it's USA Netherlands, here's what you do. You set up the double screen. If you're at college game day, you set up the double screen. If you don't do this.
You don't need college game day.
If it's going to be at AT&T Stadium, some people might care.
Nah.
Y'all do what you want to do. The important thing is, though, you sit there, you watch the match between the USA and Netherlands. Hopefully, the USA wins. They might lose, though. Who cares? That match will end right as we hit K-State TCU kickoff. So you have the second screen just to make sure you don't miss anything, just to make sure stoppage time or extra time, and then you move right into K-State TCU. Folks, it could be 2 o'clock on a lovely December Saturday, and you could have both the Americans going to the quarterfinals and K-State Wildcats being your Big 12 champions.
Yep.
Put those vibes into the universe.
Coming up next, we'll get to some Chiefs and their red zone coming up next. Team USA going with some defense, subbing out a attacker, Tim Weah Sergio Dest coming out. Team USA, save by our goalie Turner. Can USA take advantage? Big save by Turner. And so Team USA up 1-0. With roughly 10 minutes to go in the match.
Roughly, we'll see what stoppage time is added and what have you going forward. But
are we going to call a penalty here? Are they going to call a penalty on Team USA with a hold?
Looks like they are.
If it's a yellow card in the box, then it is a penalty kick. Or is it going to be for arguing? I have no idea. I don't have sound on the TV here in the studio. No, they're just going to say, they're going to say it was a handball near the sideline.
Okay.
That is what it is. So Iran is going to have possession of the ball.
They'll get another kind of longer angled free kick here to try and keep putting something in the box.
Team USA couldn't get the second goal to make life a lot easier, unlike England, who is going to win 3-0.
Yeah, their life much easier right now than what the USA is dealing with.
Correct.
See, this is the moment from the USA you start packing it in. This is where you start parking the bus a little bit and just put everyone back. Because you don't need to try and force yourself to get your second goal with about 8 to 10 minutes of time left. At this point, your entire focus should just be on, we do not want to let Iran have any sort of a good look at this goal. It is waste time to the most. This is like 2 minutes left in the game, and you're just running the football trying to get out of here.
No, I want them to take possession of it. I don't want them.
No, and if you have possession, then play keep away and try to keep it.
Like this right here is the worst part of soccer. Is your team is up
by only a singular goal,
and there's 10 minutes to go in the match.
Yeah,
that's all that there's left.
Because the opposing team starts just throwing everything forward.
I know. This is going to be the most excruciating last 10 minutes of this match.
Yes, it's going to be very painful, like pulling teeth.
Yeah, but pulling teeth is not painful. The reason why is you're numb.
I think people even then would still say it hurts.
Well, it shouldn't if you're numb.
Yeah, well. I think my analogy works.
Like when I got my wisdom teeth out, it didn't hurt because I was numb
That's fair.
and I had laughing gas. I don't
That's
have
fair.
laughing gas right now. I'd love some of that right now.
Yeah, there's more than a few reasons we shouldn't be having that right now.
Like this is this would be like, yeah, this is not great. 85th minute, Team USA leading. I really do think that if they win the next two, I think more and more kids and the more, you know, they see it,
Yeah.
and the excitement about it, that's a huge deal.
Kids emulate heroes, even more so in sports. Kids see people they like in sports, and they want. Think about the explosion of kids in the Kansas City area who all of a sudden wear their curly hair in a weird mohawk style. They want to be Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be like him. So the more American male soccer you can get on the TV, which exposes more kids to these players, and if they like them and gravitate towards them and see themselves in these guys, they're going to ask their parents to play soccer because they want to be like, kids can be like, want to be like Christian Pulisic, want to be like Weston McKennie, want to be like Walker Zimmerman, want to be like Tim Ream, want to be like all these guys. So for growing soccer in America, getting another game out of this World Cup would be huge. For growing the game and getting more people to realize, yes, you can play this game, and it is fun, and it is a game to want to do. You don't have to just be confined to the three major sports. And then if you live up north in the tundra, hockey.
I think soccer is a great sport to play when you're young because it develops footwork.
Yeah.
I mean, and it develops running, and I think that's
some of the best conditioned athletes in the world are soccer players.
For sure.
This also just leads into the point of if your kid is an athlete and wants to play sports, let them play as many as possible.
Oh, for sure.
Do not ever specialize in one sport.
Well,
until you're like at a professional or collegiate level.
I think if you want to you don't like the sport.
Oh yeah, no,
you know what I
fine.
mean? I think there's some of that.
Never be forced to play a sport you don't enjoy.
But
if you have multiple sports you enjoy, play multiple sports. There's nothing but good from it.
I think soccer does a lot of good things
Yeah.
when it comes to that. I really, really do. If Team USA, though, does win, I'll be interested in seeing how many watch that Saturday because so many people are. But it does. The 9:00 time
helps
a ton.
It's the prelude to all the college football. I'm telling you.
Yes.
You get up early, you'll watch that, and then that leads you into all your college football for that Saturday.
Yeah, that's
no
legit.
college football is competing at 9 a.m. It's just college game day. That's all you're competing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, if you care that much about it, throw it on a second screen. Half the interviews aren't even entertaining anyways.
9:00. Or is that 9:00 Central?
Yes, 9:00 Central Time. It'll be 9:00 Central Time kickoff for the Netherlands versus one of these two teams.
It says 6 p.m.
I saw 9 a.m. I mean, might be 6 p.m. in Qatar.
Well, now I need to know.
I don't know what you're looking at.
I looked at ESPN. It says December 3rd, 6 p.m.
I was also looking at ESPN. December 3rd, 9 a.m. Yeah, there's never been a 6 o'clock match because 6 o'clock our time would be like 2 a.m. in Qatar.
Yeah.
So that has to be on Qatar time or a different time.
Yeah.
Like that's why the latest games being played or shown in the States are 1 o'clock.
From SB Nation, 1A versus 2B, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So that would be
9 a.m. Yeah.
That's
I was right.
Fantastic.
I know I was right.
That's fantastic.
I'm more right than you think.
But no, I'm looking at one where it does say like 6 p.m. I'm like,
I don't know why they play at 6 p.m. That's like 2 a.m. in Qatar.
No, I'm with you. We are going with 9 minutes of stoppage
This
time.
is getting ridiculous.
Oh, dear goodness.
This is getting ridiculous.
Oh, no. Oh. Well, all I can think of right now is, what is it? Samuel L. Jackson on Jurassic Park. Hold on to your butts. 9 minutes of stoppage time. That is what looks like it will be. We will get a quick timeout. We'll finish things off on this edition of Mic'd Up. Finishing things up here on this edition of Mic'd Up. Fulton, what is your mic drop?
We knew Lance Leipold was getting a contract extension. That had been reported. That had not been the surprise of today's news. We know he's going to be inked through 2029. But looking at the details of the contract released today by KU and looking at what's happening, I'm just happy to see KU's finally committed to football in a truly and meaningful way by willing to put resources forward to it. Not just, the salary for Leipold, and it even goes a little bit to the salary pool for assistants, but the commitment to facilities, the commitment to the NIL, the commitment to making everything around the program better to make it more and more like a real, genuine Power 5 football program. I'm just happy to see that with a level of pushing from Lance Leipold himself, that this team is going to be invested in and cared for and thought about going forward, to where even the day comes that Lance Leipold maybe does take a different job, the things will be in place for this team to be successful even after Lance is gone.
The Kansas City Chiefs red zone offense had a rough go of it against the Rams. Every game is its own kind of cell, if you will. Every game is its own entity. And in that game, there was a plan for the Kansas City Chiefs just to get out of Dodge with a win. And that is what they did. They got out with the win. Nobody got hurt. They were able to save Joe Tooney for a game. Don't read into that game against the Rams a whole lot. They knew they were going to get that win. And now you look at this Chiefs team, they are one game away, really one legitimately tough game against the Bengals. And then the rest of it, they're going to be favored heavily the rest of the way. Their next toughest game is going to be the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seattle Seahawks, they can't stop anybody. I mean, anybody. Cannot wait for the game coming up on Sunday. We got a lot to get to tomorrow. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes, who, by the way, congratulations on his little boy, Patrick LaVon Mahomes III. And we have got 4 minutes to go. We'll talk more about this, more Chiefs coming up tomorrow here on Mic'd Up.